Afnan's 9 a.m. dive. It launched just last week. Let's talk about it. Hello people, my name is Nixon Dias and you are watching Smelly Cat. Hope you've had a wonderful day so far and you're enjoying your weekend. Now, most of you already know that I was one of the first to review 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. on YouTube. A lot of you haven't seen that video, but that's okay. You want to watch those bigger YouTubers, that's fine. But today we're talking about another one from the series and a brand new release, that is 9 a.m. Dive. Now this is part of 3 new releases. Obviously 9 a.m. Dive, then there is 9 a.m. Parfum, which comes in this pink bottle and box, and then there is 9 p.m. Parfum, which comes in this purple bottle and box. As you can see, I haven't opened those two yet. I'm actually waiting for my wife to come back from India. She's on vacation at the moment, but as soon as she's back, because these are parfums, I'll let her do the honors. But 9 a.m. Dive, I couldn't wait, so I've already opened it and we are here to talk about it. We actually first saw this release, or these 3 new ones, along with a few more Afnan releases when we went to Beauty World Middle East. Now, we wanted to pick them over there, but they weren't allowed to sell. None of the brands were allowed to sell their stuff. They were just showcasing their brands and their products. So we couldn't pick it then. So as soon as I saw that it was available here in the kiosk and Afnan stores, I knew I had to have it. You'll see that I did post it about a month back. Like I said, when I went to Beauty World Middle East, I posted it on my Instagram. So if you aren't following me there, do so. If you want questions answered really quickly, you can always follow and DM me, and I'm much quicker in responding on Instagram than I am on comments here on YouTube. So I'll leave a link in the description, or maybe I'll pin the comment. And if you'd like, you can follow me. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So coming back to what I was saying, we saw this at Beauty World Middle East here in Dubai last month, and like I said, we didn't get to pick them up, and I also actually hadn't tried them yet. That is because I actually went there for my own brand, NXN Perfumes, and I was only checking out the new releases at the end of the day, and I was trying out a lot of these compounds and other new releases from IFF, Javardin, and Firmenich and all these other brands. So by the end of the day, I had already put my nose through say 150 different scents. So by the end of the day, when I actually went out to check out the brands like Armaf, Afnan, Lattafa and the others, Rasasi, and even some of the newer brands, I just chose not to put my nose through it because my nose was done at the end of the day. So my wife actually tried this one and the other 2 from the series. She tried the other Afnans as well. She liked, for herself, because it's a parfum, she liked the purple one that I showed you most, and then she also liked this one, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's start by looking at the presentation, but before that, did you know that 9 out of 10 other fragrance reviewers actually recommend Smelly Cat? And the last one is going to cave soon. So if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button, like this video if you like it, and also that bell icon so that you get a notification on more amazing Middle Eastern fragrance reviews like this one here. So this one comes in a slightly better packaging than the previous 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. The box is much harder and much smoother, feels more well built. The previous one came in a soft cardboard where the bottle was just placed in here. It is, I don't know what you call this, I think coffret, that's what they call it. And the bottle again lies inside this beautifully designed background, and it fits snugly inside. Let me take the bottle out so you can have a look at that beautiful waves crashing onto the rocks. Just give me a second. Here you go. This is what it looks like inside. I must say, with the design, they've done an amazing job. The design really goes with the name 9 a.m. Dive. I'll tell you what the scent matches that as well, but in terms of presentation, especially at this price point, I would say it's a 10 on 10. The bottle, same as the others, the previous 9am and 9pm, nice heavy bottle, fits very nicely in the hand. Again, nice heavy solid round metallic cap that is just, you can knock someone out if you throw it on them. Nicely polished, and the sprayer, it's as good as the previous 9am and 9pm. You can see here, sprays out a good amount of juice. Now they haven't really announced the notes for this one yet, so there are no notes available. At least when I was making this video, there were no notes available for this one online. Even on their website, on their Facebook, Instagram page as well, you can't find the notes for this one. So I'll tell you what my nose catches, okay? So if I'm slightly wrong, please forgive me, but I'm going to do my best to tell you what the notes in this one are, and I'm going to be very honest about it. I did recently get it, just a couple of days, 2-3 days back. I picked it up from the mall along with the other two, but in those 2 days I did wear it a lot. I wore it like 4 or 5 times. How 4 or 5 times, you ask? I wore it to work, and then when I was going out in the night, again back to work, and back again in the night, and then again today as well. I've made this my scent of the day. So yeah, 4 or 5 times in the last 2 days. I have not made a dent on it yet, but yeah, quite a good amount of juice that I've already used. Oh yeah, the bottle, I thought the juice color was amazing and blue, but then I realized that it's actually a tint on the bottle. That blue electric like color is actually the bottle's color and not the color of the juice, which is okay, but it still looks pretty good. Now, first impression, when I saw this image here, this waves coming crashing onto the rocks, and I heard the name 9am dive, I thought that this is going to be a Louis Vuitton Afternoon Swim clone or an alternative. But you know what? It's not. It's nothing like it. In fact, some people say that they get the opening of Louis Vuitton's 9am Swim. One second. Sorry, I meant to get this one. This is actually a decant of 9am. A decant of LV's Afternoon Swim, which is over now. Which is over now, but it still has 1 or 2 sprays in it, and it still smells of Afternoon Swim. To me, very different. Even the opening of this one is very different from Afternoon Swim, so I won't say that this is anything to do with Afternoon Swim. So, presenting for the first time, notes from Nixon's nose. This is what Nixon gets, or Smelly Cat gets from this fragrance here. I could be completely off, but I'm being completely honest. I'm not reading the notes out like most reviewers do. I'm telling you what I actually get in the scent journey. Notes from Nixon's nose. Now say that 10 times. Alright, let's move to it. In the top I get lemon, mint and aldehydes. In the mids I get what I think is apple, blackcurrant, pepper and sage. And in the base I get cedar, sandalwood, amber, tonka and musk. Now, as soon as you spray it, let me do it here. As soon as you spray it, the opening will remind you of Bleu de Chanel. I get a huge burst of lemon in the opening, along with some green minty freshness. There's also a good dose of aldehydes, giving it that clean, soapy, fresh laundry like freshness. There's also some sweet, sticky sweetness to this, which slowly comes out with, when time passes, just beneath that clean freshness. This is actually, this is more prominent on your skin and more prominent or stronger after 30 minutes of spraying it. Although I must say that you will detect it from the start. So when you spray it, yes, it has that lemony freshness with a bit of green minty feel to it, but the sweetness is there from the start itself. So it is there from the start along with that sweetness. Just under that freshness there's a sweetness, but it gets a little more prominent after 30 minutes or so. Now what I think is that I'm gonna set this aside and I'm gonna sniff my wrist and look like a retard. But yeah, what I think that sweetness comes from is probably something like apple or blackcurrant, because its sweetness is not like a vanilla like sweetness or an ambery sweetness. It's more like a fruity sweetness. Now this is where it also moves away from the name dive, you know. So when you think of dive, you think of, and you see that image, you think of fresh, watery, going for a swim. This is not citrus reliant like scents like Louis Vuitton's Afternoon Swim or Bulgari Tiger. It's not just woodiness with a lot of freshness. This is a little more than that. So that burst of lemon is there in the opening, but that quickly disappears for me. I wish it stayed a little longer, because there's a lot of that freshness that comes in and then it just disappears, you know, sort of disappears, and then the sweetness creeps in. I would really like that lemony freshness to be there at least for another hour or so, and you know, I would enjoy it a little more. Not that I don't enjoy the scent, I do quite a lot, but I just think that if there was more of that freshness, it would stick to the name 9am dive a little more. Now, coming to that sweetness that I was talking about, when that sweetness kicks in is when it'll remind you of scents like YSLY or YSLY EDP, Invictus, Dior Sauvage. Not extremely sweet, but a good amount of freshness atop with a bit of that sweetness under that. Now in this one, 9am dive, it doesn't get too sweet like it does in scents like YSLY or Invictus and all of that, but the sweetness is much more balanced in this one, and I dare say it does remind me in this sweetness a little more of, say, something like a Ventus and their own Supremacy Silver or Supremacy Silver Not Only Intense. Now, if you wonder why I keep sniffing my wrist, it's because I've sprayed this around can you see the scent? Can't? I wish you two could do that, but I've actually sprayed 9am dive, this one, around 4 to 5 hours back, maybe a little more. So it is reaching that, it's past the mids and it's reaching that dry down stage now, and this is where the aromatic and woodiness comes out from the scent at this point, the 4 to 5 hour mark. Now this aromatic woody character will remind you of scents like Missoni Wave. Yes, I'm not saying it smells exactly like it, but this woody aromatic part of the scent, that dry down and late dry down of the scent, will remind you of scents like Missoni Wave, Versace Pour Homme, and also when I was wearing it, I was getting whiffs of, especially in the night, I was getting whiffs of Chanel Allure Homme Sport or Extreme. Now this feels like it has sage or clary sage in it, that gives it, you know, along with that mint, gives it a bit of a herby aromatic feel. Now along with this, my nose also in the dry down, especially in the dry down, catches cedar, could be ISO super, but like a cedar, pencil shaving like cedar, some sandalwood, some amber, tonka and musk, which gives it a nice semi-sweet woody backbone to the scent. And I'm going to add as well, I know I'm naming a lot of scents, but I'm also going to add that in the dry down, there is something that will remind you of 9pm a little. Maybe it's like the musky tonka dry down, but yeah, it's got a bit of that as well. Okay, to simplify it, okay, here's a diagram I've made of what it reminds me of in what stages. So what it reminds me of in the opening, what it reminds me after a couple of hours have passed, and what scent it reminds me of in the dry down. Now don't say that this is a mishmash of all these scents, but I'm just giving you an idea so that I can explain it to you a little better. Seriously, any other YouTuber out there who's gonna do this for you? So if you haven't done it yet, I'm gonna say it again, hit that like button and that bell icon, and if you haven't subscribed yet, do that as well. It keeps me motivated to get you such content. Now, like I said earlier, I don't really think this is cloning something. Maybe it does, but nothing that I can think of the top of my head, or maybe not a scent that I have come across yet. So if you know, you tell me, but I'm gonna look at the diagram myself and tell you what it's gonna be like. So I'm gonna move my eyes off the camera. I'm not being rude, but I'm just looking at the image while I try to explain it to you as well. So yes, it is going to remind you of Bleu de Chanel, like I said. Bleu de Chanel, EDT, EDP, a bit of both in the opening with some fruitiness like a Ventus has. Then it's going to remind you of YSLY, EDP, especially with that sweetness and sauvage in the mids. And like I've said in the image, it's going to remind you of Missoni Wave, Chanel Allure Homme Sport or Extreme in the dry down and late dry down of the scent. So if you know what it reminds you of, if you think that I'm completely off, you know, like I said, all the notes given here, all the scents that I'm talking about are what my nose catches. But if you think that you know what it smells like, don't tell me it smells like Afternoon Swim, because it doesn't. I've compared them side by side and it doesn't. But if you think you know what it smells like, do let me know in the comments. And if I think you're right, I'm going to pin your comment up so others should know as well, right? Now, if you've seen my video on the previous Afnan video that I did, which was not the previous, the one before that, it was on historic Almeida, the Greek Roman style column bottle. So if you haven't seen that video yet, please do it. You remember that I said that that one is also a lot like Bleu de Chanel. You know, it reminds me of Bleu de Chanel. But actually, that and this one are quite different from each other. Now, how are they different? For me, Almeida heads in the deeper, woodier direction. And it's got this Middle Eastern sort of heaviness to it. That one is a little more grown up, a little more serious, and a little more masculine. This, on the other hand, heads in the sweeter direction. And while that is a little more masculine, for me, to my nose, this one feels a little more unisex. For me, quality-wise, both are amazing. This one and that one as well. But you must remember that Almeida, the other one, is almost twice the price as this one. So that brings us to the price. Here in the UAE, this one is available for 100 dirhams. Yes, a nice round figure. It's 20 dirhams more than the previous 9 AM and 9 PM. But I think as time passes, say 3 or 4 months, this is going to be the same price as the previous 9 AM and 9 PM, which is around 80 dirhams. But at the moment, even at 100 dirhams, it's an amazingly priced product. So in the US, expect it now in the first month or two of releasing to be available at around $35 to $40. So yeah, it is slightly above what 9 AM and 9 PM are going at the moment. But like I said, completely worth it. And in India, it should be around the 3,200 rupee mark. Performance, again, very decent. For a scent of this nature, it gives me around 6 hours on my skin, a little more on my clothes, with moderate sillage, which I think is quite respectable. Overall, I am extremely impressed with 9 AM Dive. I can see this being a top seller for them. Even though it's not groundbreaking, it's very likable, and it's going to be a dumb reach for a lot of people. This is not going to offend anyone, and it's going to and it's priced pretty well, so I think this is going to fly off the shelves like crazy. And at that price, it doesn't have anything cheap feeling about it, you know. It doesn't have an alcohol blast at the start, doesn't have a synthetic sort of super synthetic feel to it. It's a well-rounded scent that you'd find from a recent designer release. And if it were a designer release, I'm going to tell you shamelessly, they would have priced this at 3 to 4 times what this is priced with Afnan. So once again, well done Afnan, amazing job with this one as well. The hype is real, and you're making me say this in a lot of the videos, but hey, credit where credit is due. Once again, hats off, amazing job, especially considering that this is available for 100 dirhams only. Now you tell me, have you tried it? Like I said before, tell me what it reminds you of. Tell me what other sort of videos you'd like, and until next time, keep smelling amazing.